Hey, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about eye primers. I, for a long time, was pretty agnostic on the topic. Like, I kind of thought, they're not really that necessary. They don't do much. Just based on my limited experience with them. I think I'd had an old e.l.f. primer, like back in the day, like back when e.l.f. actually cost like a couple of dollars a piece. And maybe tried some others. And then also in my, back when I had an Ipsy box, which I ended up canceling, but that's a whole other story. I got an eye primer, this Trace Luce, and this stuff did not work for me at all. And in fact, I think made things worse because it is very sticky and it does not seem to dry down. So anyway, I was just like, yeah, I mean, I can kind of see the point of like evening out your skin tone, you know, allegedly it makes your shadows pop and appear more vibrant, but I hadn't really noticed a difference when I tried it. And I was like, oh, I just can use concealer to, you know, hide some of my veins and stuff and even out my eyelid tone. But recently I have noticed I purchased this Blend Bunny Machina palette a couple weeks ago because I have seen a lot of people talk about these and I've wanted to like explore indie brands more. And you know, I thought they were really intriguing. Particularly, I've always had my eye on the Blends palette and also the Sickly Sweet, like the pastels, and they supposedly have like the best, highest payoff pastels of anybody. So, you know, I like sometimes just like check the website and look at them and kind of window shop and whatever. And this was discounted down, and this was one of the ones that I kind of had my eye on too, and it was discounted down from like $45 to $15 because they're discontinuing it. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get that. So I just snatched it up, which, you know, I think it's a pretty good deal for like an indie palette with what, 24 shades? What is that, 6 times 4? Yeah, 24 shades, and it's really beautiful. But in trying to use it, I was just like, oh my God, like I'm having a really hard time. Like I'm not getting good blends. And I was looking at, you know, all these Instagrams. And of course, a lot of these people are like professional makeup artists and they're going to have nicer looking things and, you know, maybe some retouching on photos and stuff too. But I was just like, God damn it, like why isn't it working for me? Like everything is so patchy and it's just not blending. And I was like, maybe this eyeshadow just doesn't work for me. It's not all it's cracked up to be. And then some people are like, yeah, you need to get primer. And I was like, oh gosh, but which one do I get? I don't know. And I didn't, you know, have money or inclination to spend a lot. So I picked up a few drugstore primers online. So I got the Juvia's Place Eye Prep Eye Prime and the Kiko Milano, and this is Pearly Eye Base. And these were both under $10. So, and I got two just because I was like, I'll bet one of them maybe won't work. So I'm going to get two so I'm not like continuing to have a bad makeup life and be depressed. So because it really got me down. Like I'm kind of embarrassed at how like upset I was that this eyeshadow wasn't working for me, and I was just like, maybe I'm just too old to wear eyeshadow. Because my problem, I mean, I'm 41 and I have like a lot of kind of loose skin on my eyelids and like crepiness. And it's hard to like blend over it sometimes because the brush will like tug and get stuck. So that was really the main impetus for me for getting a primer, was not so much to level the color or to Some people do it for the longevity of shadow, especially if you have oily eyelids. Like, I think my skin overall tends to be on the drier side, and I haven't noticed a huge issue. Definitely my eyelids are oilier than the rest of my skin. Yeah, the main reason was more so to create like more of a smooth surface for my brushes to glide across so that I would be able to get an even blend and not have these like patches or clumps of color and then like kind of bare patches. So far I'm liking the Juvia's Place the best out of the two. So I'm just gonna like demonstrate how it's working versus without, which I almost like, it's almost depressing for me to like go back to my pre-eye primer days. But I think this is a thing if you have certain, maybe you don't really need it, but definitely for me, it does seem to improve things. So, and I know you're only, this one definitely, it's a lot of separation. So you really need to like shake it up to mix it pretty much until you can like not feel the product sloshing around. A very small amount, and that might even be too much. Yeah, and I used to always think like, why do primers come in these tiny bottles? But the thing is that you don't really need very much of it. So yeah, this one is the shade 1. So it's very like, I wouldn't say it's white, it's like bone, I guess. It's almost white. And then they have other shades. I think they definitely get a lot darker. Okay. I'm doing it kind of out here too because I have a lot of creasing and crinkles here. All right, and so just kind of patting it out, and it's got, I mean, it's already starting to like dry down and set. You know, when you first put it out, it's got a little bit of like wet texture, tacky texture, but just kind of let it set. And I guess I'm just gonna let that kind of marinate. So I'll do my other eye without the primer. And I got this set of blending brushes from Blend Bunny too, which was also like incredibly discounted. I think originally they were like $30 something. And you know, I was intrigued because they have their like really small precision size brushes, and you know, having hooded eyes and not having a lot of room on my crease, I've always wanted like a smaller brush than the standard. Like, you're supposed to work, what is it, dark to light, so it's B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, and so you start with your darkest shade. And I'm not really sure why the darkest shade is a bigger size than these like middle shades. So yeah, I don't fully understand like the method of how to use these, but it is cool to have all these brushes in different sizes. So I'm actually just going to start with the B4. And what do I want to do? I'm going to use the red row here. So I'm just going in. So yeah, you can see like my eyelid is just like getting pulled like crazy. And this brush just seems very, that was the other thing, is these brushes, when I was using the shadow without the primer, I was thinking to myself, like, these brushes are a little bit on the denser side, and I'm like, well, why are these like blending brushes? They're too hard to blend, and they're kind of, you know, just depositing big bunches of color. But with the primer, they seem to move a lot glidier. I'm gonna hold it back here so there's less pressure, but I don't know, it feels crappy. Like it's not an enjoyable experience to apply. But let's see, with this, yeah, I don't know if you can tell the difference. And I mean, yeah, I'm definitely still having some like movement on my eyelid, like that's not gonna change, but I don't know, it feels smoother. Of course, now that I'm like trying to demonstrate it, I'm like having a harder time. All right, I'm gonna go in with the one brush that's supposed to be for the darkest shade. Yeah, so I'm not loving that I got this shade up there. Okay. And I have a hard time sometimes getting in my crease, like getting under the eye socket, because it kind of hurts to do that, honestly. I'm not a huge fan. And then B1, so I'm gonna do B2 is a little guy, and I'm just moving up the red column from here up. This is really kind of awesome. Like, look at this shade. That's so cool. It's like almost fluorescent. I'm trying to not pick up. I'm still probably getting too much shadow on the brush, but I'm trying not to pick up too much. That seems like a basic principle with makeup. It's just like, so this is the side without a basic principle with makeup is just like, use less than you think you need to, and then build up. Now, that's certainly true with foundation. It's true with eye primer, and I think it's true with shadow as well. Yeah. And this is the 3. So they're colored in a gradient, which even with, it's somewhat helpful without my glasses, but I'm still even like, I have a hard time seeing even the values. It should let you know how blind I am. And I don't have a ton of lid space, so I can't do the, I don't know, the full stack of color. It's kind of hard. Yeah, ooh, that's pretty. Yeah. And I got some flack for taking the shadow all the way up to my eyebrow, but like, I don't care. I wouldn't say flack. I actually invited, this was on Reddit, I invited constructive criticism. And people were like, your shadow just looked like another eyebrow. I was like, what's wrong with having two eyebrows? You know how like you ask a question and then you don't want to hear the answer? That was kind of me. I was like, I don't know, I was really hypersensitive last week. And it just felt like there was a bunch of stuff. I don't remember what all I was depressed about, but I know some of it had to do with JD Vance, but and just other stuff. But somehow my shadow struggles were emblematic of like everything. I was like, everything's falling apart. So yeah. And then I'm gonna use, this is the NYX glitter primer. So I'm gonna use that for the shimmery shade. And this it seems to have a little bit of pearl in it. And this is way more like sticky too, so I wouldn't be inclined to use this all over my lid. I think it's more just for like patting on these kind of looser shimmer shades or glitters with your finger. Ooh, look at that. That's so pretty. Oh my God. Okay, so is it the best? No. Would I leave the house with it? Yeah, probably. Do see some little greebles right here. I also have a lot of peach fuzz and like little baby hairs on my upper lid, and you know, I try to pluck them off, but it's also really sensitive and I don't want to create more like irritation and bumps and stuff. So that can also probably snag and whatnot. I'm just taking a blank brush and I'm trying to blend it out a little more. Okay, so that's the difference. And then I'm gonna try the Kiko Milano one. Okay, yeah, this one you don't really seem to need to shake. And this one's got pearlescence. The second ingredient is mica, so it's shiny, whereas this one, the second ingredient was titanium dioxide, which is what gave it that white. This one seems to be more translucent and yeah, definitely more pearly. I don't know the rationale for the pearl. Maybe it's just supposed to make the shadow be more reflective and scintillate a little bit. And yeah, this one feels more kind of wet. And when I'm pulling my finger away, I can hear like a little. So just trying to make sure it has enough time to dry. All right. So going back in with human. I wonder if that's because it's supposed to be like a blood color. It's an interesting color story. It's sort of like the nature robot dichotomy. Although some of these shades on the more, I'm assuming this side is kind of the more industrial, you know, post-apocalyptic side, but even these colors, these aren't really natural colors. Like these are kind of more natural, these grungy greens. These are sort of like hyper real, like, I don't know, neon city sort of, what's that fucking movie called? Blade Runner, no. Is it Blade Runner? Yeah, I can't talk and do things at the same time. I don't really like how it shows up on the eye. It's interesting too, it's like, it's a little bit grittier than some of the others. It swatches really beautifully, but then, I don't know, on the eye it's just kind of, it's a little dingy looking. I'm sure, you know, there are people that can do beautiful things with it though. They shouldn't come in that far either. Okay. And then go into Burn, the fluorescent red. I guess that's like a rocket fuel thing. Turn and burn. I haven't consumed much sci-fi, a bit, but I would like to read more sci-fi. If the prose is good, that's my thing. I can't just read genre fiction if it's got like kind of clunky prose. Yeah, I mean, this is actually, I'm liking the blend here. Actually, you know what? This is, I thought I liked the Juvia's place better, but this is actually looking a lot brighter and true to pan on the Kiko side. So, interesting. I think the Juvia's place one, at least that shade, the shade 1 would be good for pastels maybe. So I'm gonna try that at some point, just because it's kind of more white. And yes, my eyebrow tail is sort of non-existent. I was like, I plucked it because it'll like curve in kind of, and it looks weird. Although that actually would work with the whole sort of sci-fi theme of this palette, because it's kind of alien looking. I also have a very alien looking like nose bridge. Like the space between my eyebrows is really like flat and wide. I'm trying to grow out my unibrow to see if that makes it look better. But I definitely feel like with a little makeup I could be like a TNG alien. Maybe a Cardassian. Yeah, okay, I like the Kiko side. Okay, all right. And I'm just taking error code, and I don't think an error code would be this like soft, I don't know, what is that, a really pastel red? I don't know, that doesn't say, pastel doesn't say error code to me. Like that should be like an alarm color. But look how pretty it looks with my eyes, if I may say so myself. Ooh, okay. Do I want to put brown under there too, or is that gonna be too, might be too much. Okay, I'm gonna try, should I use the glitter glue or just see how the Kiko does? I'm just gonna see how it does without the glitter glue. Okay. Interesting. Ah, interesting. So yeah, without the glitter glue, it's like a totally different color. Whoa, that's crazy. Okay. And it's showing up, I think, a lot truer to pan without the glitter glue. With, it's like kind of more of a rose gold kind of, and then, wow. I mean, I think they both look nice, but this is beautiful. Well, I'll be, all right. Yeah. Okay, this is, I'm liking it. So I had some other experiments I was thinking about, like doing concealer. Apparently, you know, you can use concealer if it's a matte concealer or if you set it with powder. The problem with using like a moisturizing concealer is that it'll break up the makeup more easily, kind of the same way that your oils, your natural skin oils do. So it's not optimal, and I found that it doesn't do much to enhance the way my eyeshadow looks. But I was thinking about trying it with setting powder. And then also, I was also hearing, you know, yeah, if you use a dry or matte concealer, and I think Alexandra and Nell was saying, oh yeah, you could use like Shape Tape, it's more drying. And I don't have Shape Tape, but I have this Tarte color corrector, this orange. So I was like, and it does seem pretty dry, so it's kind of like, I wonder what that would do under shadow. That might be interesting. So I don't know. I will, but I don't want the video to drag on too long, so I'm just gonna leave it like this. I'm gonna finish my eye makeup just for everyone's sanity. So okay, so this is it. I'm just gonna leave my hair up because it has been non-cooperative lately. But here is the Juvia's Place Eye Prep, Eye Prime, and the Kiko Milano Pearly. And that's about it. Thanks for hanging out and checking out some eye primers. I definitely think that if you've been struggling with shadow, you should try one, at least a cheap one to start with, and see what it does for you. So I hope you have a good one and you're staying safe if you are in hurricane territory. Bye.